The story begins with a group called Hishin, led by a young man named Shin. One day, while they were resting at their camp, something unexpected happened. Instead of being attacked by an army, they were ambushed by an old man named Hoken. This old man called himself the god of war. Shin and his friend, Kio, who was the second in command, stood up to fight Hoken. They were the strongest in the group, but Hoken was incredibly powerful. He dodged all of their attacks as if they were nothing. With just a few strong punches, Hoken knocked Shin to the ground, and Shin fell unconscious. Seeing her leader defeated, Kio decided to use her special moves. She came from a famous clan of assassins and was very skilled. But even with her best efforts, Hoken was too strong. Kio struggled to fight back and was easily knocked down by him. At that time, the members of the Hishin group tried their best to help Kio, giving her a chance to fight back. But Hoken was clever. He could guess Kyo's moves and dodge her attacks easily. Hoken was ready to finish her off, but just in time, Shin arrived and saved her. Shin quickly told the others to attack Hoken with their spears. However, Hoken was too strong. He turned the attack against them, and sadly, many of Shin's group members didn't survive. Even Shin got badly hurt. His teammates worked together to protect him from Hoken's attacks. Not long after, soldiers from the Qin army arrived. They told everyone that Hoken was the top general of the Zhao army, which was Qin's enemy. A Qin commander ordered his soldiers to attack Hoken, but then the Zhao army showed up to protect their general. As a big battle broke out between the two armies, the Hishin group decided to retreat to save Shin and Kio, who were both badly injured. While running into the forest, the group was suddenly attacked by another Zhao team led by a commander named Mayang. He wanted revenge because his friend had been killed by the Hishin group. Instead of fighting back, the Hishin group decided to split up and run. They weren't scared of Mayang. They just wanted to give two of their members, Bido and Bihei, the chance to escape with Shin, who was very weak. The group tricked Mayang and his men so they wouldn't find Shin. Meanwhile, Bido and Bihei hurried to carry Shin far away from danger. But Mayang soon realized that Shin, the person who had hurt his friend, wasn't with the group. Then, he quickly ordered his men to search for him. Back in a village, the families of the Hishin group members were praying. They hoped their loved ones would survive the battle and come home safely. In the forest, Bido and Bihei were exhausted. They had been walking far, and both were injured from the fight with Hoken. Bihei noticed that their blood trails could help the enemies find them. So, he told Bido to stop his bleeding. Then Bihei made a brave decision. He wanted to go a different way to confuse the enemies and give Bido and Shin a chance to escape. At first, Bido didn't want to let Bihei go, but Bihei reminded him that Shin's life was the most important. Shin wasn't just their leader, but also their friend. Bihei promised Bido he would be okay and that he would survive because someone was waiting for him at home. Before leaving, Bihei told Bido to take care of himself and protect Shin so they could meet again someday. When the sun began to rise, Shin finally woke up. He saw Bido lying weakly beside him. Shin asked about Hoken, but Bido didn't want to talk about their enemy. Instead, he changed the subject, talking about Shin's dream of becoming a great general in the future. Shortly after, Bido told Shin that his dream might come true because even now, as just a team leader, everyone was willing to risk their lives to protect him without needing to be asked. But Shin didn't realize that Bido was in his final moments. Bido closed his eyes, and his heart stopped beating. Far away in the village, Bido's wife, Yuri, felt something strange. She heard Bido's voice whispering to her, saying he was sorry. Tears rolled down her face as she realized her beloved husband was gone. And Shin was also heartbroken. He felt deep sadness knowing his best friend had passed away. The next day, the Hishin members who had split up finally reunited in the forest. Bihei was among them. He had survived an enemy attack with help from Kio and her group. As the group searched for Shin and Bido, they were surprised to see Shin arrive, carrying Bido on his back. Everyone felt relieved and happy that their leader, Shin, had survived. But their joy quickly turned to sadness when they realized Bido had passed away. Bihei tried to stay strong after learning about his brother's death, but he couldn't hide how heartbroken he was. Losing so many friends in the battle, Shin made a promise to himself that he would get revenge on Hoken. Kyokai explained to Shin that Hoken's incredible strength came from years of tough training. She also told him that the deadly move Hoken used on Shin was powerful enough to defeat anyone instantly. Shin was lucky to survive it. Not long after, Shin and his group went to see the great General Ohki, the leader of the Qin army. They told him they wanted to keep fighting, even though there were now only 36 people left in their group. Oki was impressed by their determination and allowed them to join the Qin army. Meanwhile, other Qin generals, Mobu and Kano, were already leading their soldiers in a battle against the Zhao army. At the same time, Caryodin, who was training to become a strategist, watched the fight from afar with other strategists. One of them, Riboku, explained how they use flags with different colors and positions to send messages during the battle. Back on the battlefield, Mobu spotted Hoken. Ignoring Kano's warnings to stay with the army, Mobu rushed after Hoken, determined to face him. In Xianyang, the capital of Qin, the young king welcomed a woman named Yodenwa, his old friend. Yodenwa was the leader of the mountain tribes who once helped the young king, Issei, fight against his half-brother, Sikyu, during a rebellion. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Mobu knocked a man off his horse, and Kano thought Mobu had defeated Hoken. But Mobu said the man wasn't the real Hoken, just a decoy sent to trick them. At the same time, the Zhao army arrived with even more soldiers surrounding Mobu and his men. Back at the palace, Yodenwa told Issei about the barbarian tribes living on the borders. These tribes were known for their incredible strength and amazing fighting skills, and they had many more warriors than the Qin army. Because of their strength, the kingdoms of Qin, Zhao, and Yin had built giant walls to keep the barbarians out. Yodenwa explained that when she and her troops reached the border to fight, they found over 100,000 barbarian soldiers already dead. The sight was horrifying. She learned from a surviving barbarian that it was the Zhao army who had attacked them. Hearing this, the royal advisor said they had no information about the attack. Issei guessed that Zhao might be hiding a powerful leader within their army, secretly building a force to strike their enemies. Yodenwa agreed and said the Zhao strategy was brilliant, but also very cruel. Such a clever plan, she added, must have been created by a genius strategist who was also heartless. When Issei asked who this strategist was, Yodenwa revealed his name, and it's Riboku. Elsewhere, Caryodin was observing the battle from a distance. Suddenly, a group of Zhao soldiers arrived and bowed to Riboku, who was revealed to be their leader. Riboku was one of the 3 great leaders of Zhao and the mastermind behind the secret army that defeated 100,000 barbarians at the border. As Riboku and his soldiers prepared to join the rest of the Zhao army, Oki and his troops arrived to face them. Oki gave orders to his commander, To, to take some soldiers and attack another Zhao commander named Choso. Then, Oki told Shin and his group to help Mobu and Kano, even though their numbers were much smaller than Zhao's army. But Shin and his team didn't feel scared. They trusted Oki and were ready to fight. While To and Shin led their men into battle, Oki headed straight for Choso's base, planning to defeat him and his army. Choso grew nervous as Oki's forces approached, wondering if Oki had figured out his battle strategy. In the middle of the fight, Oki was confronted by Hoken, who had been targeting Oki all along. Hoken saw Oki as a worthy opponent. At that moment, the Zhao army raised their royal banners, revealing that Hoken was also one of the 3 great leaders of Zhao. The battlefield fell silent as Oki and Hoken stood face to face. It became clear that their rivalry had lasted for more than 9 years. Back at the palace, Issei asked his advisor about the history between Oki and Hoken, as well as their connection to a female general named Kio. The advisor, Shobunkin, shared a story from 20 years ago. He explained that he first met Kio while traveling to the battlefield. At that time, Kio was Oki's assistant. She was a fierce warrior with incredible fighting skills and a sharp mind that made her one of the best strategists of her time. Long ago, when preparing for war, Oki asked Shobunkin to protect Kio because Oki trusted only him. Oki kept a secret about Kio for many years that she was actually the daughter of King Sho. Turns out, Kyo's mother wasn't from a noble family, so the royal family feared Kyo might be in danger because of the fight for the throne. To protect her, Kyo's mother sent her to live with Oki's father. From then on, Kyo stayed at Oki's home, raised in secret as the daughter of a servant. One day, King Sho visited Oki's camp to praise him and his army for their victory. That's when King Sho met his daughter, Kyo. He was so proud of her because she had grown into a brave and brilliant warrior. Even though they knew they were father and daughter, they decided to keep it a secret to keep the kingdom safe. After that, Kyo chose to hide her identity by wearing a mask. Even though Kyo was a woman, she dreamed of becoming a great general like Oki and bringing victories to her kingdom. Years later, Kyo's dream came true. She was named one of the 6 great generals, leading thousands of soldiers into battle. Now, in the present, Oki and Hoken were locked in an intense one-on-one fight, with their armies watching eagerly. During the battle, Hoken reminded Oki of something that happened 9 years ago, and it's a painful memory Oki could never forget. The scene shifted to the past. Oki was visiting Kyo at the camp, helping her treat her wounds. He told her they would fight together to conquer their 100th fortress, showing that he remembered a promise he had made to her long ago. Hearing this made Kyo happy, knowing Oki would not only fight by her side, but also keep his promise to her. Right now, Oki and Hoken were still in an intense fight. Oki couldn't forget what happened 9 years ago when Hoken killed Kyo and her soldiers. Back then, Oki fought so fiercely that he injured Hoken badly. Hoken thought he was going to die, but he survived. Since then, Hoken vowed to get revenge on Oki. As they battled, Kyokai wondered how Oki could be so strong and fierce, even against Hoken, who was called the God of War. Oki pushed Hoken to the edge and had a chance to defeat him. But suddenly, Riboku arrived with his army, ready for battle. Instead of being afraid, Oki looked excited, as if he had expected Riboku and his soldiers to show up. Soon after, Oki ordered his troops to prepare for battle, but Hoken demanded they finish their fight, no matter what. While Oki and Hoken kept fighting, To continued his mission to attack Choso and his army. To successfully defeated Choso. On the battlefield, Shin and his team fought bravely against the enemy, carefully following every order from their general, Oki. Oki shouted words of encouragement to his soldiers, telling them to fight like wild beasts to defeat their enemies and honor their fallen friends. During the battle, Shin noticed one of Zhao's soldiers aiming an arrow at Oki. Shin tried to stop him, but it was too late cause the arrow hit Oki. At the same time, Hoken used the moment to stab Oki. Shin was furious and quickly defeated the soldier who shot the arrow. Even though Oki knew he didn't have much time left, he refused to give up. He kept shouting orders to his troops to fight until the very end. At that time, Oki still managed to fight back and almost cornered Hoken, but Hoken blocked his attack. Just as Hoken was about to strike again, Shin stepped in to protect Oki. Moments later, To arrived and took charge as the new leader since he was second in command. One day, while riding together, Oki told Shin to close his eyes for a moment. Oki said that when Shin opened his eyes, he would see what a great general sees on the battlefield. When Shin opened his eyes, he was amazed. He could see the battlefield clearly and recognize his allies from far away. There, Shin spotted Mobu and Kano fighting bravely with their soldiers, even though they were being attacked from all sides by the enemy. Meanwhile, Riboku stayed calm even though Oki and his army were heading straight toward them. Riboku said their goal wasn't to defeat Oki's army or attack Shin's kingdom. Their real plan was to take down Oki. Now that they had wounded Oki, Riboku decided to leave him to lose his strength. Riboku didn't want to kill Oki outright, because if they did, Oki's soldiers would chase them endlessly to get revenge. In the forest, Oki gave To the responsibility of leading the army. He officially handed over his position to To, who was also a strong and skilled warrior. At that moment, Mobu apologized to Oki, saying it was his fault for causing all their troubles. But Oki didn't blame Mobu. Instead, he told Mobu he was a capable general and believed Mobu would become one of the greatest generals in Shin someday. In his final moments, Oki gave Shin some important advice. He told Shin to keep training hard on the battlefield and to fight with all his strength alongside his friends. Oki believed that Shin had the talent and potential to become a great general in the future. Before passing away, Oki handed his weapon to Shin, symbolizing that he saw Shin as his true successor. News of Oki's death reached the palace. Issei told Shobunkin that Oki had shared King Sho's final message with him before heading to battle. This message was advice from King Sho, meant for the king of Qin, someone Oki believed was truly worthy to lead the kingdom. For years, Oki had kept this message safe until Issei became king. Oki saw how hard Issei worked and sacrificed to unite the land, how he treated his allies, and how he faced his enemies with courage. Because of this, Oki decided to share King Sho's message with Issei and devoted himself fully to Issei and the Qin kingdom. Elsewhere, Riboku offered Hoken the position of supreme commander permanently. But Hoken refused. He had achieved his goal of defeating Oki and wasn't interested in returning to the battlefield. The story ended with Shin rallying his comrades. He told them not to stay sad over Oki's death. Instead, he urged them to stand tall and be proud, reminding them they had successfully saved Bayo from the Zhao army. Shin's fiery speech lifted their spirits, and the soldiers marched home with pride, carrying Oki's legacy with them. At the palace, Issei ordered the main gates to be open to welcome back Oki and his brave soldiers who fought with all their might to save Bayo. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is if you ever get hit by an arrow, just laugh it off like Oki and keep fighting, because who doesn't want to be a tough cookie with a side of pain?